And yes, and this is what I'll say about that. You have to talk to some of the people of other countries, right? This doesn't happen on the continent of Asia that much, right? Like they don't we don't have the same problems. They don't have that problem saying that, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to wait till I'm like 40 to try to settle down, right? It's a frame of mind. They actually take family seriously, right? They want to build a family with somebody. So they never have this problem. Why is it we always have this problem,
No,
right?
I'm
Our
talking about
divorce rates are
American
high as
men.
hell.
I'm talking about American men,
I think that's
Yeah, we
interesting.
understand that.
We might
not
not
foreigners.
we might
one
have
mic.
exact problems, but also the problems in China too is that they're overpopulated and they have to like live in these casket shaped houses because they have no room. So I mean, we could talk about what kind of problems people are having, but or not having, but it doesn't really validate the experience here, and it's not really relevant to the conversation.
Well, if well, I'm talking about let's if you're talking about America, right? I know Trigger Mike has all the data on this too, right? When you look at our families as black people, like ours are the worst, and family is part of it. If you don't have a strong family foundation, that's where a lot of us are lost, right? We don't have that dual parent household to raise children. That's what it's more so about. A lot of us are just so damn selfish. All we think about is ourselves. That's the problem. Why can't you just have a mind frame where you build with somebody for something greater? You
I
don't
agree
have
with
to
you,
if that's
Trev.
not what you want to do, but these are the consequences, right? That's why our stats are so bad in every single category. We know what happens. I don't have to go over what happens with single parent households, right? We know every stat is worse. We know that. And that's what I'm saying. It's more important than just us. It wasn't about me, right? It was about finding somebody who's in the same lane that I am and moving forward with them to build a strong family foundation.
Forever.
That's what I was concerned with. Forever. That's the idea. Yeah, forever. Till one of us dies, till death do you part. That's the motive.
That's admirable.
So let me say something going back to the that actual second video Trigger Mike said.
Yeah.
What I've seen from that video is two people who refuse to see the other person's perspective. And the last things the guy said is he lacks the self-respect to walk away, right?
That was
So
yeah.
there's respect on both sides. So the first thing, going back to the earlier conversation, I was disrespectful by saying ain't nobody going da 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 da, right? So that's the first thing. So my apologies to the panel. The second thing is seeing the other person. At some point in the show, would you or could you open this dialogue again for the ladies? Because I know you got a show to run, but from a respect standpoint, would you at least take a second to hear what the women have to say at some point through the show, and then we can move on? Because looking at that video is two people holding something in, even though the other person did something to them, and they stay. And that's literally what abuse actually is. The woman gets mollywopped and she doesn't have enough self-respect with her, and she stays instead of leaving. And for the women to be on this panel still, they may feel the same way. But out of respect for you being a moderator of the show, would you hold space for them at some point later?
Yeah, we could do that.
Cool.
Thank you, Mike. I mean, not Trigger Mike, Mr. Lego, and Trigger Mike. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, this is how men operate, right? We calm down a little bit. We yell at each other. Like Sweeney is my guy. We yell at each other, whatever. But at some point, now we got to still politic and handle the issue and don't just bury it. You feel me?
All right. Did everybody go on that one?
So I want to kind of answer Ali's question, right? And I actually kind of want to also address something you said. So Ali asked Trev, so what do you expect someone to do? Do you expect them to do this relationship thing and then but they're not really into it? And I don't necessarily believe that's what Trev was getting at. He's basically saying, if you don't want to do something at this period in time, don't complain about the results that you get at a later period in time when there's a different level of expectations for you. So, for example, there may be a specific demographic of men that you may be, or a specific demographic of women that you may be interested in that will only be interested in you in a space of time. And if your window passes up and you start to get a different result, you can't get mad at the results because you made your decision, you made your choice. So later on, that choice is no longer available to you. You have a whole another set of choices available to you that you have to choose from. Or you can say you don't want those choices. It's fair. You can elect to opt in or opt out. But you can't opt out at one point and then try to jump back in. And then when it doesn't yield the results you want, you say, well, the world is unfair. Well, it was fair if you would have taken advantage of your opportunity when you had it. But then now that your opportunity has passed you, and now you want that same result at a later time in your life. And this goes for men or women. There's some dudes that try to play football, that try to play ball at a later time in their life and try to reclaim that glory that they passed up on. And just to put it in a simpler term, but I think that's what he was alluding to, is basically if you want this result, then go after it. But if you don't want that result, if you can get that result later on, fine, great. But if you go after that result later on and it turns out to be something different, don't complain about it because your time has passed for that result. You have a different set of results and opportunities to you.
I think, can I say something, Mr. Sweeney? I think that we're the only people who think like this. Like, oh, you gotta hurry up and marry somebody and find your partner while you young. To the women specifically, because our men don't do that. They actually go after the paper in the bag and try to establish some type of business. And the men who are really super educated and like trying to change the trajectory of their family and trying to create generational wealth, they try to wait to have children and get married to their 30s and 40s. But here we are saying to Black women, yeah, you better, when you're 20s, you better get them while you can. I think that's the problem. And let me finish. That's a problem in our community because, yes, we do need to start economic. I don't know who, can y'all mute? Because it's like the feedback is distracting me. It's rude. I think in our community, we need to learn group economics at an early age. This is true, but we have to be on the same page as men and women. If our men aren't maturing fast enough at the same rate as us, then what are we supposed to do if we're going on a date and the guy is not serious and he's not pursuing us for marriage? I'm sure if Andrea met a man tomorrow that was actually her type and her soulmate and he was ready for marriage and pursuing her, she would, probably fight a little bit, but she'd be gone. So like, men are the leaders. Y'all conquer countries and set wars. You can get a woman off the, pursue.
I got an answer
okay, hold on. Let us have our dialogue.
No, and then I just want to say, I think that we start these relationships and then, they don't work out. We have these children or whatever, you get married and then we divorce and we don't understand how to do it again, how to build a new relationship like the Brady Bunch did. They had how many kids in that household and they looked like they were winning, right? They combined, hold on, wait, let me land it here. They combined resources. When you apply for a loan, 2 incomes is better than 1. 2 social security numbers is better than 1. We better together than we are apart. So we got to stop with that mentality, like telling women, hurry up and get your man. Then our men out here getting the paper and we're not aligned. We should be able to start our lives at any point. If I started at 20 and had children and divorced, and then I want to start again at 40, I should be able to do that with a man my age.
Well, the only thing about that is one, that does happen in the white community. If you go into a lot of white spaces, they also talk about these things as well. If you notice that the average age that people tend to get married is around 27, between 27 and 29. So they typically are already in these relationships starting post college, maybe even post grad school. So we're not the only ones that say that, but also I think what happens is that we're at odds with one another. You have a group of men that want something totally different and a group of women that want something totally different. I tend to believe that unserious people attract unserious people. So if you are unserious in your dating habits, you're going to get unserious people. So if and the thing is that and I'm with you. Some dudes aren't serious in their 20s, and that's fair. And I'm not sitting here telling women that they have to deal with unserious men, but there are some serious men out there. So move on to the next one. But if you want to date for fun, I'm not speaking of this from the standpoint of you need to go out there and get it while you can. I'm speaking of it from the standpoint, just to answer your question. Why should I what happen if I don't want to do it right now? Then why are you telling me that it may not come later? And that's the only thing I was answering, is that because later that option may not be there. It may be for a different reason. It may come at a different.
Men are gonna die because I mean,
no, it's just
what's gonna happen to the men.
It's just that you might not, the things that they may be looking for might not be you anymore.